Good evening, everyone. On behalf of IPSF, myself, P. Swati, editor at IPSF, I will be the moderator for today's webinar session. I take immense pleasure to extend my hearty greetings to Dr. Chandrasekhar, our patrons, Indian Pharmaceutical Association and PharmaCat. I welcome all the students to an exciting webinar session of Listen to Legend Series 2, exclusively for pharmacy students from IPSF on the topic, what is the true meaning of a pharmacy education? I heartfully thank our mentors, Dr. T.V. Narayana, President IPA, and Dr. S. Vidyadhara, Chairperson IPA Education Division, and Dr. V.S.P. Rao, immediate past President of IPA, for guiding us and supporting us. Now, before starting the session, I would like to take this honor of introducing our today's eminent speaker, Dr. Chandrasekhar. We are privileged to have you here, sir. Dr. Chandrasekhar has done his B.Pharm and M.Pharm at BITS Pilani, India, MS, PhD at University of British Columbia, Canada, postdoctoral fellowship at Madison, USA, is currently working as a professor in pharmaceutical sciences at University of Finlay. Following his completion of postdoctoral work, he was a pharmacological researcher for 12 years at the University of Alabama at USA. Major focus of his study was to understand the role of inositol lipids in cell signaling and published over 25 peer-reviewed publications in this area. In 2010, he initiated a study abroad program that enables student and faculty exchange between the University of Finlay and 4 colleges of pharmacies in India. His commitment to this endeavor in improving pharmacy practice in India has been recognized both by the BITS Pilani and Indian Pharmacist Association, as they have bestowed him with B.M. Mittal Memorial and M.L. Khurana Memorial Award respectively. His other awards and recognition, to name few, are: in 2019 he was Indian Pharmacists Association Fellow, and in the same year he received U.S. David Allen Award for Holistic Teaching. In 2013 to 2017, he worked as an associate editor, Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Pharmacology, and in 2013, he was an elected fellow of American Pharmacist Association. His vision is to provide opportunities for Indian pharmacy students to visit and learn pharmacy practice for 21st century to the global arena, so that patients all over the world can get benefited from the pharmacist's knowledge and services. In the past 5 years, this program has provided opportunity for about 30 students from each country to visit other countries. Program has been well received by all the participants. Success of this program has resulted in him being appointed as International Ambassador of Pharmacy at the College of Pharmacy, University of Finlay. Without further ado, I would now request Sir to take over for his session. Over to you, sir.
Give back the screen to me, please. Okay, can everybody see me here? So let me make this thing. Okay, thank you, Swati. Thank you for the kind introduction. When they asked me to speak in the series Legends of Pharmacy, I was really wondering who is the legend here, okay? But then this morning, I just came to know that my friend Rao also spoke in the series. So I think, well, if Rao is in the group, I think I can call myself a part of this group. So I hope all of you can hear me. Today's talk is titled, What is the True Meaning of Pharmacy Education? So what I plan to do today is objectives of the presentations are inspire some of you to roll up your sleeves and start working with patients in your community. and motivate to convert your thoughts to action, action to data, and data to publication. So these are the two major goals, and I certainly hope that I'm able to at least achieve partly some of these ideas. So I plan to do this by sharing some of my stories, incidents, inspiring interactions, and just to make you feel that 40 years ago, I was where you are today, trying to wonder what is the meaning of my life, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to make a living out of doing this pharmacy practice. Hope each one of you can relate to at least some part of these stories and experiences to your own life's events. Swati, can you make me the host back again, please? Can you hear me? You can't hear me? So you have to make me host. Go to this.
Sir, actually, you are the host, sir. Just check with that. Yeah, you are actually the host, sir.
Okay, thumbnail, let me see.
Yeah.
Got it. So everybody can hear me right now, okay?
Yeah, sir.
So one of this relate to these experiences to your own events and develop an attitude and perseverance to overcome some of the challenges which you may be facing at this point. So I'm just to give you some idea, I'm talking from United States of America. I live in the state of Ohio, which is a Midwest region, and I work at the University of Findlay, which I joined in 2007. So this is my 13th year. So basically a little bit of my own pharmacy journey to give you some idea of where you are, and the life may have some unexpected twists and turns and can lead it to you. How I ended up joining pharmacy program in BITS in 1970. I am a Pilanian by birth. My father moved to Pilani when I was 1 year old. So I went all my education in Pilani only, kindergarten, middle school, high school. And we know that BITS is a wonderful college, which just existed 2 miles from my home. And that's all we could afford anyway at that time. There was no question of me going to some other exotic city to study. And it was a nationally reputed college. So I applied to the 3 programs which were available at that time in BITS. There was a pharmacy, there's an engineering program, science program, and pharmacy program. So I applied to all 3 of them. Now, what happened that year was, that was 1970. That's the time I started. Most engineering seats went to the students from Gujarat and Tamil Nadu, as state board were much more liberal in scoring compared to the central board, which I graduated. So naturally, I have the 2 options at this point, either to take science or pharmacy. Between the 2, I realized that I like chemistry much more than I like maths or physics. So the choice was sort of made to me. When I started the college, I was just 16 years old. So you can think of it. Naturally, I didn't know all about pharmacy. If somebody would have told me that day that I will be talking in this series, I would not have believed it. But within 1 year, I liked the science, I liked the field of pharmacy and what it can do in terms of, at that time, it was manufacturing of drugs and what the drugs are capable of, and all the people who are taking drugs in and around you. How if I had malaria, I would take some quinine, or if I had a headache, I get something like paracetamol. And so 1 year later, when they gave me choice to go to engineering because my scores were good, I said, no, I like what I'm doing. I think I'm going to be in pharmacy. Having said that, this is the 1974 batch of me and my fellow students graduating from the College of Pharmacy. As you can see how times have changed. At that point, we have only 1 female student in my class, Shailaja Reddy, and all other were boys. You can think of it how tough her life was for 4 years, being surrounded by no other female students. But now, as you can see, in 3 decades, things have changed, and now there are more female students in pharmacy. And that is because the whole world has changed. So what was okay for me to do when I was in my years, when I graduated in our position, you have to be in a better position. You have to have more knowledge. You have access. I never forget about Zoom session. I didn't even have a tape recorder in my home. So my chances of listening to anybody outside the Pilani was zero. Somebody has to come to Pilani and I have to attend the session, live session, to understand. So, and this is me, if you're wondering where I am in this. So I look maybe as unsure of myself at that point as you are. So please hold on. Hopefully at the end of the session, you will feel that you have much more to offer to the world, and you can do miracles as I've been reasonably successful in doing myself. So the first thing I would like to know, looking back, okay, if you think yourself as a plane, then don't you think that when you are flying the plane, you should know where your destination is, right? If you don't know a destination, then it's a problem. So at this point, you know that your destination is to become a pharmacist. Okay, whatever reason you end up choosing the field, you went to the college, but now you have spent 4, 5, 6 years in the college, you know that you want to become a pharmacist. Now, one thing I will say is, at this point, if I ask you, why are you doing a pharmacist, or why are you becoming a pharmacist? You'll probably say that my goal is to get a job. That is fine. That is probably everybody's goal when you are 24-year-old. But when your goal is just 2 steps away from where you are standing, you don't have that much clarity. If you have a higher goal, it provides for better clarity and a clearer path. Okay, now part of it is you get with age. Okay, that's a challenge. You cannot think like a 50, 60-year-old person. And now it will be difficult for me. And looking back, I will say how stupid I was when I was 24, right? But that's part of the reason I do this series. I share whatever little bit I have known. Hopefully that one of the 30, 40 people who is in the webinar get benefit out of it. So if you have, your goal is just to get a job, you're looking only 2 steps up the ladder. Whereas if you have a higher goal, it provides for better clarity, and you know the number of steps you needed to take. Now, this is me in 1970. Okay, you just looking at me, you don't believe that it's me. Well, I had a lot more black hair at that point. I used to have to go to a barber shop every month. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Now, during this COVID, I have not gone to the barber shop for the last 3 months, and it seems to have a very little impact. Okay, now coming back to what it is. I had a same thing. I wanted to be a professor. Okay. So that means that if you look at the same ladder, which I showed you in the previous slide, and now I say I want to be a professor, it means I needed to do a PhD. And so you can clearly see that I had at least 4 or 5 steps. I could look ahead 4 or 5 steps into my professional career. Okay. So the wanted to be a professor is a more specific goal. It gives you a little bit more clarity. But still, everything, because when I came even as a PhD student, during every visit to India, I volunteered to make presentations on pharmacy related topics. So at that time, I was doing inositol lipid signaling, So every year I go back, I have some new updates to provide and new research data to share. And I started doing that. And this process certainly helped me improve my public speaking and teaching ability. And it built up a professional network. You will see the importance of this. So what I want you to get at this point is the fact that I wanted to be doing something specific in pharmacy. I wanted to be a professor. Gave me in linking into some steps I needed to do, because you can't literally be a professor in the 80s or 70s without getting a good PhD. So I have to do a PhD, and while I was doing a PhD, was not just satisfied doing my work. I always volunteered to do something additional, which helped me develop my professional credential. Now, I want to give you just two examples. And I will come back to you to the fact that I was really slow. Now, when I compare that to my kids, I'm giving you two examples, both of my children. They had a much better goal. Now, look at this thing. This is my son, Nitin Sekhar. His job was to our planet faces problems of extreme poverty, unprecedented abuse of captive and domestic animals, and the decimation of wildlife and healthy ecosystem. Through my work, I hope to help realize a vision of conservation that regards people equitably, animals more humanely, and ecosystem and assets that enrich and sustain our society. Now, naturally, he could envision by the time he graduated, he could put a statement, which is almost looks like a mission statement. And this, because that is his vision, he had a lot more steps he could take. So now, when you have something like this, remember, some of it is karma. I mean, I do believe in reincarnation myself. So what you're born with, our inherent ability, we are all good at something better than the other things. It doesn't mean all of us are good at something, and we have to figure out what we are good at it and leverage that strength. So in his case, he identified life's goal to work with animals very early. He loved animals. He loved he was the first one in my family, in our family, to have a dog, okay? Result of visiting multiple zoos and wildlife sanctuaries. His high school score, he was able to score perfect 1600. And he chose to go to North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and not Yale. The reason was in Chapel Hill, he got full scholarship. He knew that the type, and we had a conversation on that. If he can go to do at a place which does not burden him with a lot of financial loans, he will be in a better shape. So because he knew where his mission was, he could start acting towards the goal. He knew that jobs, the type of jobs he's looking for to fulfillment are not going to pay as much as some of the other jobs, right? So, and if he goes to Chapel Hill, he will be with zero loan, whereas if he goes to Yale, he will have about $100,000 loan, which he has to pay back. He chose ecology and evolutionary biology. While most families here, in general second Indian families, if we have a score like what he had, they would have chosen medical, computer science, engineering, which is what most of us in India choose. So we have the same mentality, and they are very successful. So he was offbeat. His goals did not match what an average person's goal was. So chose ecology and evolutionary biology. And then he spent a summer at Mudumalai with Dr. Sukumar of IASC, Indian Institute of Science. Then he applied to two colleges where Dr. Sukumar had adjunct professor appointment. He ended up doing a PhD from Princeton, and his project was in India, at Buxar Tiger Reserve in India. And now, lo and behold, he works as an elephant conservationist for World Wildlife Foundation in India, and he lives in Coimbatore. So folks, I would say that I did not have this much clarity of where I want to go until 45 years old. So here was a person at by 24 know exactly, and even before that. And he started moving in the direction because looking at the previous picture, he has the clarity and he has the steps cleared. Many of them did not match with what the society's expectations of him were, right? But because he know where he want to go, he ends up going there. And this is my daughter, and this is Samantha Sekhar. She always believed in making a difference for the society. And so as a young college student, she campaigned with in the Obama's presidency in 2010. I mean, in this, during the second midterm in 2010. Even in 2008, as an 8th grade student, she watched the 2004 Obama speech multiple times. 9th grade, she started an environmental club. Why she got selected? Because of her commitment to some ideals which are beyond your own simple goals of what you are going to get for it. She completed an UG and master's degree in 5 years, joined an NGO, Resources for the Future, directly contacted the professors in the area of interest. She knew that she doesn't want to go directly to PhD after undergraduate degree. She wanted some real life experience so that she does a PhD in a field which is meaningful to her and which have a greater impact. And so she chose a Stanford to do a PhD, and she graduated just 3 months ago on February 2020, before the COVID epidemic really became impacted America. And she started with an analytic institute on January 2020. And so her career, if she would have told me, I don't even believe that there are jobs like that, but this is a new generation. So her career is to figure out what she can do, how she can improve the turnout during the election so that the current president will be looking for a job in 2021. So again, that's what is working to improve the election outcome in 2020. Now, so I joined in 2007, University of Findlay, and at that point, I decided to contribute to pharmacy education in India. Remember, so whereas my previous goals were, when I was 24, my goal was be a professor. So it was, say, 4th or 5th step in the ladder. But now my goal is much, much higher. Contribute to pharmacy practice education in India. We have started a PharmD. I believe that I, with a PhD, with doing a pharmacy experience in USA, I can start making a difference. So once I identified a vision, larger vision than my own self, things started materializing. I identified few students to accompany me to India. Okay, so now once you have a vision, you can see how things start falling together. I ended up writing an article for Goal, which I will talk about a little later. Because of writing that article, it led me to Dr. Parthasarathy for JSS. That is where we did the first study abroad rotation. That led me to visit Dr. Nagavi in RIK and UAE. And he's now one of my best professional friends. We just published an article together. It in turn led me to Dr. Pallub Bhatt, who arranged visits to several pharmaceutical companies in Ahmedabad. Remember, the last time I went to a pharmacy company was in 1974, Days Medical in Calcutta. Okay, so here I am after 40 years, still feeling that energy as a student, visiting the latest. And actually, things have changed drastically during the last 40 years in the pharmaceutical manufacturing in India. And then Dr. Rao, my wonderful friend from UBC days, and we have kept in touch together for all the 40 years. I first met him in 1977, so it's about 42 years now. He arranged for me visits to St. Peter's from 2014 to 2018. And we ended up taking Scott Gare for the first time to India and did a Coumadin clinic in St. Peter's. I think that was the first Coumadin clinic by a pharmacist in India, in Warangal. So at this point, just take home the message. The take home message is this current speaker of the legends of pharmacy was just like you in 19 when he was your age. Okay. The only thing I can share you is in order for you to get a better vision, you need to have a goal which is beyond yourself. I need a job. I need this. This purpose of when you say I, you don't, people may help you out a bit, but you don't get that lift. But when your vision becomes higher, when you say, I want to do this for my society with the knowledge you have gained, you will be surprised how many people are ready to fly with you and lift you. And that gives you a much greater target distances. Okay. So we have now, currently, these are the three MOUs which are active with us. Vishnu College of Bhimavaram, St. Peter's was the first one. Then we had Vishnu College and now Vignan College from Vadlamudi. All of them in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana area. And one or two are still in the process. And there were some which got dropped out during the 10 days. And this is the number of scorecards we have. So far I have 23 students who have gone on 5 visits from UF to India. Manipal University have sent me 5 students in 2 visits. PIPS, most long-lasting, 11 students in 5 visits. Karnataka College 5 in 3, Vishnu 4 in 2, and Vignan 6. And actually, Satish Gotapati is still there, and I will hope to give him a few minutes at the end to talk about his experience of coming to University of Finlay. So now at this point, another thing which you want to know, this is an experience. This is from Veda from Vishnu College, who came here in 2016. So within a week, she says, now I have much better clarity of what I want to do as a pharmacist. She had all the knowledge. Remember, in 1 month, I'm not going to teach you pharmacy. What I'm going to teach you is to improve your confidence. I'm going to show you that you are as knowledgeable as any pharmacist which my students are. There may be some strength in each one of them, okay? But you are as knowledgeable. Now, the only thing is, in our society right now, pharmacists, for that matter, any society, they're not as appreciated as healthcare professionals. Even here, US, we are even with this many years of pharmacy program and pharmacists making very good salaries, there is still a problem of converting the knowledge which pharmacists gained into real life practice because of the stakeholders and the personal financial benefit which each various members get by giving out their job to pharmacists. So in India, it's somewhat worse, okay? We started PharmD in 2008, and we still don't know what the pharmacists can do it. So, but once you identify it, you should be able to make a difference. Okay, so this is Veda at the University of Finlay in the spring of 2016. So she joined the Satyasri Hospital in Hyderabad, and she is doing literally everything. Actually, much more, because in India, there's no competition and people can do so far somebody agrees. You don't need all these rules and regulations to perform up to the top of your professional degree. So my students at UF would have tough time in United States to do all these things which she's doing with her degree in India. Okay, so I'm not going to read through all these things. So she's telling the diabetic patients how to use the insulin pen. Do you think it's easy? Unless somebody teaches me, I may not be able to do it perfectly. How much dose you have to get it? And she is doing some of the stuff which a physician assistant in America does it. In India, you can know if the doctor trusts you and you have been trained, you can do those things. So to me, I call her as my first Indian daughter. Remember, I have one real one in America, and she became so convinced that I made a difference in building her confidence and what she can do professionally. So the last one I would like to do, she is doing vaccine, flu vaccination, pneumococcal vaccination, meningitis vaccination. And this started, the last step started after she listened to me giving this in one of the presentations which she attended when she went back to India. And because I come every year, I gave these presentations. So I told her, every year, more than 26 million children are born in India. Under research from University of Michigan School of Public Health, remember that's a school in US, which shows that almost 2/3 of the Indian children are vaccinated late. Okay? And so the question to me, which I posed to the audience was, I will answer the raised hands question later, unless if you can't hear me, let me know. How many of the 135 pharmacy schools in India play a role in solving this problem? So remember, this is a data, there is a healthcare problem, and we are training professionals to be healthcare professionals. So when she listened to this presentation from me, she said, okay, Dr. Sekar, now I'm going to go back and do in Satyasri clinic what is the challenge you pose to the pharmacist. And she started keeping record. She started keeping record of how many flu vaccinations she is doing. And she increased that by 40%. She was prophylactic rabies vaccination for pet owners and lovers, timely child immunizations, creating awareness about adult immunizations. And so, motivated by what I spoke, identify a problem which you can contribute in solving. And here you go. We have submitted this abstract FIP. The decision should come up in the next month or two. Because of the COVID, most likely the conference will not be held in real person in Seville, Spain, but we may be presenting it virtually. But remember this thing. So she was able to do total of 2,524 patients counseled, and the clinic administered 3,492 vaccinations, averaging 284 immunizations per month, which was almost 3 times higher than the 85 which they did before. So remember, even if you assume that there is 100 rupees or 200 rupees per saving, you multiplied vaccination earnings, 200 multiplied by 200, you got about a significant amount of revenue for the hospital. So if you go to a doctor, because there are a lot of private clinics, and tell them that you will add this simple, this is just one example of how you can generate revenue for the doctor's clinic, at the same time benefiting the patient, improve the health of the nation, is the way. Would make a significant difference and what the meaning of your pharmacy education is. So this is just one example. So here is an example of a person who came on the study abroad trip, got the confidence that what she saw, that she is extremely competitive at the world stage, went back to India, found the job which meets her needs. She could have taken other jobs which are available, which could have paid a little more than what she was making in the Satyasri clinic. But she realized that her training is better invested in doing what she was doing. She did this. She made an impact. She collected the data. Remember, nobody wanted her. Her job did not depend on collecting the data. We kept in touch. We still talk every month on an average. She used the mentorship provided by me, and I was happy to do this. And I don't know why somebody's making some lines in here. So please, they have the screen share, so please stop doing it. Uh, so we could able to do this twin this. Again, this type of work will help her get the next job, the next professional step which is required. I'm going to give you the next 5 minutes to talk to my second Indian daughter, Kiranmay Bolapalli. She came again from St. Peter's last year, left her LinkedIn profile picture. On the right side is the picture of Kiranmay having dinner with my Indian students who are going to come in 2021. This is just as a proof that she was actually here. So Kiranmay, I'm going to share the screen with you. Give you the talk, and you can actually start unmute your thing and stop talking. Go ahead, please. I will show the slide. Kiran. Kiran. Can you hear me? Kiran, you just unmute it. Let me unmute you. Okay. I will unmute. Mute audio. Yeah, you are already unmuted it. Okay. So you can start. I'll share the screen and you talk, and I'll be able to forward the screen. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Go ahead.
So firstly, good morning, sir, and a very good evening, everybody. Myself, I'm Kiranmay Bolapalli. I'm a family graduate from St. Peter's Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Warangal. The University of Findlay and St. Peter's collaboration have provided me an opportunity. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yes, sir. So the University of Findlay and St. Peter's College collaboration have provided me an opportunity for this international rotations and student exchange program at University of Findlay, where I had an opportunity for an observational study for pharmacist action in different streams, ranging from hospital pharmacy, retail setting to ambulatory care and community clinic and so on. So beginning from the college, I just first got a hand-on experience on how pharmacy was taught in the United States scenario. And of course, my participation in various other programs, like the importance of leadership skills for family graduates by the Professor Nagavi sir, and also my chance of participating in MTM Center, which is Medication Therapy Management Center, has fostered my growth. This exchange visit has actually broadened my perspective and expanded my network that truly spans the globe, I believe. In a nutshell, to categorize the benefits of these international pharmacy rotations or the student exchange program to the students, I can say that these all can lead to the overall the students' educational, personal, and development, and also it helps the students to develop their long-term goals. When coming to the educational, I just don't say that there is no question in that the immersion in local healthcare settings is vital to educating the pharmacists, but the unique competencies involved in these international rotations, it can complement the rigorous clinical and academic knowledge that which we gain here domestically. So it fosters our practical implementation of the knowledge which we gain here. And when coming to the personal development, I can truly say that a few days back, even I was a student who used to always hide, like with so many fears, doubts, anxiety, and whatnot. But once I finished this pharmacy rotations, I just found myself more outgoing and more appealing than other students. And I have given sessions in different colleges, which has entirely changed my life. And I can truly say that the actual benefits from the program like this international rotations, it depends on two scenarios. The first one is the list of activities and the mentorship of the program, which will be done by the professors. And I can surely assure that right from the step you get into the campus and you leave the campus, each and every hour will be planned by Shekhar sir before we step into the US, and that is a superpower which he have, I can say. But also it mostly depends upon the individual students' openness to embrace the challenges and opportunities involved in during the program. And I just don't want to make a big speech, but I just truly want to say one thing to all my fellow students here, that deserve before you desire, because I truly believe that, like, if you want to do something big in your life, you have to think out of the box and, you know, engulf the challenges, whatever and you face in your journey, and, you know, try to grab the opportunities whatever you find in your colleges. And even though it is a small one, try to make use of that opportunity. We never know which path may lead to which destiny. So make use of all these opportunities, because the inculcation of all these qualities before entering into the real world scenario, before you finish your graduation, it is extremely valuable. Because the studies which we, even though how much ever academic knowledge we do have in our college, unless and until we don't know how to implement that knowledge in the practical world scenario, I think it doesn't make any sense. I can truly say that the time which I have spent in the Finlay and the internship hours which I had in the Vanderbilt Memorial Hospital under the guidance of Scott Gare sir, it has completely changed my way of what the actual pharmacy is, like what actual PharmD is. Because we know there is separate B pharmacy where they produce the medications. There is separate, you know, pharmacy practice where they completely, you know, do the role of the physician assistant. But what this PharmDs have to do, the clear-cut knowledge I truly got when I started this program actually. During the internship time in Vanderbilt Memorial Hospital, even though it is a nurse or a doctor, each and everyone, even though how small doubt I have, they all explained me with utmost, you know, patience. And the Scott Gare sir has really opened my mind, like how many roles a pharmacist can do in a hospital healthcare scenario. So I just truly believe that if any students will get an opportunity like this, they have to make use of this opportunity, because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I truly thank from the bottom of my heart to Shekhar sir and my college for giving me such a great opportunity. And when coming to myself, I'm currently working as an assistant manager for the startup company called Staffingly, which provide clinical pharmacy services to Specialty RX. It is in New Jersey, USA, as well as other pharmacies in different parts of the USA. Here we do provide our clinical pharmacy services to the patients of nursing homes, rehabilitation centers, and assisted living facilities, and so on. Because these are the places where the doctors will be coming on and off, and there won't be any clinical pharmacists over there. Here we have, so there's, they have identified the importance of these clinical pharmacists, like the role, what we have to do over there. And so our team of the pharmacy has hired a team, has hired a group of clinical pharmacists, where we will be, you know, reviewing the prescriptions of the patients, whoever, whether it may be a normal diabetic patient or any oncology patients, whatever the medication is, all the prescriptions, they will be coming to us. And we will, you know, review all the prescriptions and sort of these prescriptions. And once we give the clearance on that, then only the medications will be dispensed to the patients. So coming, even though it is a small drug, even though it is a small pantoprazole or omeprazole, I'm just learning so many new things which I haven't seen before. So I can truly believe now that learning is a continuous process. Learning is never ending. If you have the ability of, you know, learning in each and everything, whatever you learn something in your day, I think that completes the day, I feel. I just hope one fine day I will start, you know, providing such similar pharmacy services to our Indian population too. So I just hope that comes as soon as possible. And thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk on this big platform. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kiran. And so again, students, so you can figure it out. So I didn't teach her pharmacy. She just came to my life 1 month, and I just exposed her, give her improved, boosted confidence, and she learned all these things. And I believe that one day she will do it. And many of you here listening, remember, the same problem which exists for America patients exists in India. Right now, it is ignored. Nobody takes care about it. Nobody has any data. If you look at how many people are dying of medication interactions in India, we don't have any data. In the world, in America alone, there are about 300,000 people or something. It's about 550 people per day dying just in hospital setting because of medication errors. So once you have the confidence, you can show a value to the patient, to the hospital, or to any organization, insurance companies, and how your involvement can reduce their cost and improve the outcome. I don't think any stupid person will say, don't do it. Okay. I mean, so there is, we all may be greedy, but we all want to improve our bottom line. And we can do it doing that while providing a better service. I don't think anybody will say it. So this is all it is. So let's go back to my thing. Thanks, Kiran.
Thank you,
can
sir.
move yourself now. So you have done Form D, and you probably got into the Form D because you did not get into medical school. You may have gotten to Form D because your parents wanted you to join the Form D program, or even for a flimsy reason that you want doctor in front of your name, but you believe after Form D it will be easy to migrate to USA. So if this is the reason you started the Form D, they were the wrong reason. You need to have a better reason than this. So only reason, now that you are a pharmacy program, you want to be a pharmacist, the only reason you should continue in this line is to help to provide the optimum therapeutic outcome for your patient. So that should be the reason you should be in the field. Everything else will come. You will get a job. You will be able to feed your family. You will get professionally recognition and all that for what you do. But if I is the goal, you won't have much of the support. But if the goal is for the improvement of any community or anything which is beyond you, broader than you, you will get that lift which I was talking about. So I'm just going to conclude. We're almost running out of time here. 10 more minutes. I'll leave some time for questions here. Simply look at it. There are over 245 million diabetics just in India. In a population of 1.2 billion people, 245 million people are either already diabetic or may be diabetic in future. If with your knowledge, you can start helping them improve their outcome, they will certainly be able to reimburse you. You start doing this while you are still studying. You already learned all about metformin. Find out the patients around you, in your family, around you who are using metformin. You know what are the metformin side effects, when metformin should be taken. You know what the glycosyl, just share the knowledge. So by the time you complete your Form D, you will have the confidence to go into the real world and share your knowledge and make a living out of doing it. This is the prevalence of hypertension. Almost, if you look up between I always take only two conditions which are so common and which are so basic. We have all the drugs available to control the hypertension and the diabetes, except that you cannot give the same drug to everybody. You have to play around with it. You have to use the basic knowledge in order to develop the specialized, tailored treatment plan for your patients. So if you can do that, you are in good shape. So now, this is just a picture of an Apollo hospital, just one big corporate hospital. And this is a Form D coming into that. Somehow we have been basically brainwashed because of our pharmacy structure in India is to believe that your training, if you are a Form D, and knowledge is only relevant in your hospital. Folks, that it cannot be far from the truth. This is not correct. Pharmacists are involved with every patient. Anybody who's taking a drug can do better if you are a part of their team. So basically, to have your career goals, demonstrating value to your patient is the only key to your success. So if you are now today listening to this me and making it sure that you're saying, I'm going to improve the condition of the patient in Warangal or in Hyderabad or wherever it is you are, you will start on a long journey with a lot more success rate. I don't know exactly all these members here, but Karthik Rakam has put together a wonderful group. So anybody, hopefully everybody in this who are talking to me or listening to me in this session are part of this group. Many of these members in his Pharmacon Society have gone and looked up the profiles of their family members and were able to do the counseling to them. And they were so happy that they are using their knowledge to benefit the patient, even though the patient is only your family member. Okay. Converting your data to publications. I already given you one example of what Veda did. Now, here is the Karthik Rakam's group. Gokul and Karthik have published this paper in Global Health Online, implemented of IV infusion admixture guidelines by a clinical pharmacist. So what they conclude from the study is, you know that you cannot mix every drug just with normal saline or just with dextrose. You cannot, the amount of volume of the diluent you use will change depending upon the drug. The rate at which your infusion will change. Now, if you go to a hospital in India, they are just mixing, the nurses mixing whatever bag is available around her. That is wrong. Right? Now, they did this simple thing. The data is already available in the world. If you go through the literature, you can find it out. They made a beautiful table of what drugs should be diluted with what agent and how it has to be infused. And they can show a very good potential outcome of implementation this protocol in the hospital they were there. Okay, so they got this job done. Then they submitted the paper to me, and it came up in the recent issue of Global Health Online, Volume 7, number 2. Now, this is the website of that. And I certainly hope that if you are listening to this, hopefully you're curious of what is that which you can do in your hospital or in your community, which you can gather the data. Without good data, you cannot publish. Gather the data systematically, get it reviewed. You can submit it to me. I can give it another check, make sure it's professionally written, and then publish. So an article published in this journal, which is free of charge, it doesn't cost you anything. Yes, it costs you time to do the work, time to write the article, but you learn. That's what the journey is supposed. When you graduate with PharmD, that's not the end of the road. That's just the beginning of your beautiful career, if you want to make one. So you get there, okay? So you write it. This is the journal Finlay. So the website is available. You can do Finlay online journal. So 7 articles came, and one of them was from Karthik Rakam. And I certainly hope that many of you will read that article and implement some of the simple protocols they have put in that hospital into your own hospital, and get the data from that setting and publish it in this journal. So the growth is, listening is easy, and talking it easy. We just have to convert our partnership into a better future for our profession. Folks, change is painful, but nothing is as painful as being stuck somewhere you don't belong. Okay, keep that in mind. Now, here is this gentleman. You may not recognize who it is. Okay, this gentleman first had a vision to get a job as a lawyer. Once he had a vision that he wants to get India independence, that gentleman became this person, Mahatma Gandhi. So remember, initially he had, just like me, a 2-step process. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a professor. Okay, it can only take you that far. You get your degree, you get a job. But once he had a vision which was much bigger than himself, he transformed the nation, he transformed the world. Okay, each one of us may or may not be achieve what he was able to achieve, but we can certainly do miracles in our own life and fly very high. So finally, this is a thing which I want to share. The best view comes after the hardest climb. Okay, so you have to climb longer. You have just started your journey. As I told you, I was where you were 4 decades back. And if you think you respect of what I have achieved, you each one of you can achieve this and much more. Because I started realizing it at the age of 45. If you start realizing at 25, you are way ahead of me. Okay. Again, life is a journey, not a destination. Learn to enjoy the ride. And I thank you very much for listening to me. I think you have taken a first step by joining on a Saturday evening or Friday evening to come attend the session. I'm sure you could have done many other things. Okay. So thank you. And I will take any questions you have. I'm going to stop the share here. Thank you very much. You can unmute yourself and ask me the question, please. I had a lot of hands raised. Let's see what they were for. I don't know what the hand raised for. People who raised their hands, they can ask me questions. I don't know what the hands raised were and where they were raised.
So actually, we have collected a few questions. If
Okay.
you may,
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
okay. So the first one is, do the PharmD graduates can work in community settings after completion of the degree? If so, what are the guidelines to be followed while prescribing the OTC medications in those settings?
Can you repeat the question for me once more, please?
Do the PharmD graduates can work in community settings after completion of the degree? The second part is, if so, what are the guidelines to be followed while prescribing the OTC medications in those settings?
Okay. The question for me is, where are you talking about? Are you talking about PharmD graduates working in India or PharmD graduates working in America?
Both, sir, both.
Okay. Well, in basically in OTC medication, there is nothing. Pharmacists can do the counseling. So if you have an asthma patient who want to take some pseudoephedrine, okay, so you will tell him that don't do it, because there may be OTC. The fact is there will be same name, same brand name, and the ingredients change. Okay, if you have a Tylenol PM, the Tylenol PM includes diphenhydramine. So if you tell the patient that the PM will make you drowsy, and if you just have a headache during the daytime, you don't want to take the Tylenol PM. Okay, so you can, OTC medication, there is no bar at all. You already, OTC medication in US, I mean, means that they are safe. They have been used for a long time. And so pharmacists give further guidance. So, but the patients have to ask the pharmacist, because pharmacist is standing behind a counter. So in a real chain store, pharmacists rarely, you may ask them, but very few people go and ask the pharmacist. In independent store, where the pharmacist has much better interaction, he knows the patients in person because they go to the same pharmacy, he knows about their family. There the conversation is free flowing. They will always ask, is it the right Tylenol for me? Okay. Or can I take proton pump inhibitor? Remember, now people are taking omeprazole for rest of their life. Okay, and I can give you a whole series of talk on just omeprazole, why you should not be taking for rest of the life, right? So there are no guidelines. I mean, guidelines means it's your knowledge is the guideline. So patient can take any medication he picks up, because that's where they're over the counter. If he is smart enough, he will talk to the pharmacist, and the pharmacist, hopefully practicing a good professional hygiene, probably will do his best to guide the patient. Tell him why is he taking it, what he's taking for, does he have other medications he's taking, and then tell them whether you should take that medication or not. So it's a beautiful opportunity. And even without waiting for legal, every person who is on this thing, I will say 184, okay? If you are a pharmacy student, if you don't know what your parents are taking for diabetes, hypertension, what is all the medications in your, at your home, and who is taking, how they are taking it, that means you are not a pharmacy student. You're just getting a degree in pharmacy. That's all. So start small, no government, no Modi stopping you from talking to your parents. They are already paying you more than what you can ever expect to earn by a counseling session. And to me, it's almost negligent. It is like if your grandfather has got his kidney is not working well, he keeps on taking metformin, then he need a kid to end up with a dialysis. And if you are a bystander who has the knowledge but refuses to spend the time doing that, is not a professional at this point. You are mute. You have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me, sir? So the next question is, can the PharmD graduates do super specialization as a part of PhD program after PharmD?
Well, technically, you don't need to do super specialization. I think the people are a little confused. PhD is more academic. It requires research projects. PharmD is a patient care direct. You can do research in PharmD also. Research is asking a question for which you don't know the answer. We can do research in Shakespeare if you want to. If you can do research in movies, Indian movies or Bollywood, whatever it is, or how many women are Bollywood, or whatever it is. So basically, research is an organized way to study a data, come to a conclusion. So technically, you can do research. If you already done PharmD, you don't need to super specialize to do a PhD. It's two different ways. Most likely, people won't hire you. Okay, people want a certain commitment. If you want to do PhD, people want to know that you are ready to spend your time in the books, a little more theoretical in your aspect. You can do research as a PharmD, working as a cardiologist, an ambulatory care pharmacy, then you can look at clinical patient warfarin. But you don't have to do super specialization to do PhD. I mean, you better be interested. I mean, you can still do it. There are some MD PhDs also, but you better be interested in living long time in poverty and working very hard, because there are two different directions.
The next one, in COVID times, how can we become an impactful pharmacist and comply to our duties?
Well, this is a tough question. Okay, it all depends upon where you are. And if you're really professional, you do what is required of you, and you do a little more, keeping the safe distances and educating the patient. I mean, those are, again, the developing, our problems are different than problems in India. I mean, I cannot say the same thing somebody who's in a slum in India to tell him, look, you have to keep safe distance. So you do the best you can. So I would say that there are a lot of challenges which are beyond the scope of anybody. Okay, so how you handle it in your war is different than, so this is almost like a war. So okay, so let us just try to be impactful when the times are normal. Okay, when nobody's stopping you. If you are not impactful with your own family, then this question to me is irrelevant. Okay, you're asking beyond the scope, which is, so just start, every one of you. You can give me a chat message, I don't know, chat message response on how many of you know what your parents are taking, and have you ever talked to them about their medication? If you can, let's see whether there's a polling there. I didn't record, I can't add the question right now, but to think about it, you don't have to tell me. So that is the first one. And yeah, these are tough times. So whether you should go, you should use your knowledge to help the patient, hand washing and helping them, whatever way you can. But I won't have any more specific answer.
So the last one is, what is the process of applying for the student exchange program in colleges?
Well, there are not, I don't know, there are too many student exchange programs going with pharmacy. Okay, I understand JSOs have some student exchange program, and a couple of other universities. They are literally, basically, you come, they are professional exchanges. So you come to University of Florida, I understand, then you can apply. You pay the whole fee. So it's somewhat quite expensive. We're talking about $4,000-5,000 in last 6 months. There's no faculty involved too much. Okay, so they take it to the University of Finlay, University of Florida will send you a student exchange form. You fill it up. You come here. You are on your own. My student exchange is basically based on university to university. So if you really love it, you go and talk to a university. I visit them when I come to India. And now from next year onwards, that's a $2,500 fees for the university and to pay to my college, because most of the time there's no faculty coming from that side. And so that means I am the guy who's picking you up from the airport. I'm the guy who's taking you to all the site. So first few years, my college let me do it for free, but they realized that this is just not working, because I have got now 16, 20 students coming every year. That means 4 to 5 months I'm doing things which are not related to college. So, and at the same time, that $2,500 from the institution shows that they are believe in your growth, because it's a peanut for an university to spend $2,500 for a program like this. Okay, and then student buys his own airfare or whatever arrangement you have, and then they pay me $400 for boarding and lodging for the whole month in Finlay. So up to this point, there was only the airfare and 400. So from 2021 onwards, I want an institutional commitment. I want institutions to say that they are interested in their students, because most of the time no faculty comes. Whereas whenever I come, then those who have an MOU, they host my student for a week, complimentary basis, and I travel with them. And so that's how it sort of works out. So basically, if somebody's interested, then you write to me and we will see whether I will do a site visit when I come next time to India, and then their faculty can come. In all the cases where it worked out very well, whether it's Vishnu College, Vignan College, St. Peter's, their management and people have come to Finlay to see what exactly, how it can work. I cannot imagine. I don't know what all the other people have. So that is the basic pattern. It's not a big deal. And then they have to get the visa and then they have to come here, which is always another step. But I don't know the impact of COVID on any of those processes.
That's pretty much it, sir.
Okay. Well, very good then. Again, I think there are about 168 people still there. Thank you very much for organizing this thing. And I first want to congratulate IPA student body for doing it, because this is the only way the progress will grow. I can clearly tell that people in India have used this COVID break in a very fruitful way. So I would really like you, each one of you, to make simple change. Read a book which has nothing to do with the pharmacy, which is an inspiring. If you think my story is inspiring, there are a lot of people who have done wonderful work. Okay, and don't expect an immediate return. If you are really passionate about something and it doesn't cost you, I mean, it costs you 10 rupees, you have 10 rupees, spend it. Okay, it doesn't break the bank for you. Start doing it. And once you start doing it, it is like a bird, butterfly getting humming to it. You emit positive energy. You emit things which attracts other people with like-minded. So once I am enrolled or started the program, I had Dr. Rao, Karthik Rakam, Dr. Nagavi, Pralu Bhatt, Balkeshav, all these people, Raju Koneri, Ananta Nagappa, all the people whom I would have never met if I say I want a promotion to be a professor. Okay? Nobody cares whether I'm a professor or not. But when I put in a higher goal, all these people can, because I am sharing something which helps them, their college, their vision, we all lifted up. So once I start doing it, I became a professor. But think of it, it's the same endpoint, okay? In one, I'm telling you that I want something. In another, I'm saying I want to give something. You get back. Okay, so if you not, that's the simple measure. And I hope I shared a little bit of my story and it motivated you. I wish you all good luck in your journey. And if any of you want to publish something, want to know more about goal, It's free. There is nothing. We don't charge any money. You get a good publicity, and that will be a stepping stone for you to go to the next job or the next graduate school. Those are the steps. But keep the goal beyond what is in it for me to what is in it for you. And once you change that dialogue, you'll find out that there are a lot of people ready to join you because they can see something which they have it for you. Thank you very much. Have a great day. And if somebody wants to speak to me, I'm still have time. So everybody else can leave and I can unmute them and I can have one-to-one conversation to anybody, 20, 30, whoever wants to, rather than typing my email. It's easy for me to talk than type email. Goodbye and good luck. I'm going to stop the recording at this point so we can continue. Bye, Swati.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving us your time. It indeed was an eye-opener for all the pharmacy students. Thank you.